Welcome back to Guardbeardia. This is another model review, this time from Fireforge Miniatures. On the old channel, I worked with Fireforge a lot. They make a lot of historical and now fantasy miniatures, and they've really come a long way. Their old models were a bit poo-poo in some places, but the new models are really coming out into their own. They're kind of being able to stand shoulder to shoulder much more defiantly now with Victrix and Perry miniatures. Now they said, I got an email saying, hey, they said, hey, we're going to send you some Byzantines. I was like, okay. I was expecting maybe a sprue too. No. These absolute mad lads sent me 3 bags of sprues, and they sent me more or less an entire army. Like, Fireforge, I love you guys, but you just save on postage and just send me a sprue of each. That's all I need to review your models. So now I got an army of Byzantines, hizzy Byzantines. I gotta fucking find out what to do with. But this is the review of their new Byzantine cavalry, and they look pretty good off the sprue. So here we go. So this is my very dirty desktop. Gotta get all the filth out of the way before I pull these models out. But I went ahead and put them together and glued them and primed them. You know, this is a standard massive shock cavalry. I believe it's a Cataphract of some kind. So you have your Cataphracts, you got your horse archer with like the half lalamer, overlapping plate armor. I got a banner down there because I want to see what it looked like. Now the sprue itself look actually quite promising. They've got the legs in 2 pieces, so it's easier to fit together. They got the chest plates. I think this is the bowman sprue because you have these archer arms here, and they look really good. And most importantly, the bow arm is in 2 pieces. You have the main socket, and then the piece holding the arrow, and then you have loose arms. So a lot of people like to do the knocking arrow arm as all one piece, and it's a huge pain in the ass. So they save you a lot of headache with doing it in 2 pieces. The helmets are also pretty fucking dope. Like, these are really, really good heads. That like cool Byzantine style like face helmet with the chain, really nice looking. And the beards have really good surface area and detail. Only one issue is that the bow scabbards and the shields lack any real texture. Only real bad note about the sprue is that the shields and the bow quivers really do lack texture. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but everything else looks really good. Next up is this Cataphract Sprue. I think it's Cataphracts, but they have more full face helmets, and that's a fucking airplane, really. Some more full face helmets with the little plumes, and they got like long lances and maces mostly, and that's what they look like. So you got maces, scabbard swords, and these lances, and that's really about it. The shields and the scabbard swords have really good details, but again, on the back of the shields, not a lot of texture, no wood grain, no nothing. They kind of dropped the ball there as well. Here's one of the horse sprues. This is the Cataphract Sprue, but you can see how it's all one big piece, and there's lots. It's like heavily textured for the armor, which is really good. You get details popping on this armor, and it's really simple, really simple looking. It's just basically 3 pieces: 2 body pieces and a head piece. And here's the more light cav version. You get a little more horse here. So again, 2 pieces with the tails that are. So you can have the tails kind of swing, helps break up formations. And I decided for like the half barded because it made the most sense to me. But you have options for no barding, half barding, at free heads, armored heads. You have little skirts you can put on. Lots of good, options for this light cav sprue. You can have super light cav, medium cav. You can have this with a barded head or just a barded chest. Help break up the profile of the horses. And then there's like the cavalryman sprue. I think it says on the name there somewhere. But this one, again, it's all multiple pieces. You got swords this time. Not very charismatic sword pieces, but, it's got swords. So you can have them up and raise or come down on a slash. You have lances as well. Again, really, really, really good heads and textures on these legs and the chests and the arms. And the heads, those heads look great. For plastic, look awesome. A lot of companies drop the ball on heads, and I think that Fireforge really knocked these heads out of the park. So good on them on this one. So I went ahead and found the names for these sprues. The one with all the swords is called the Byzantine Corsairs or Corsairs. Oh, I'm redneck. I can't say names. And then the Cataphract. Yeah. So you got the Corsairs, the Cataphracts, and then the other sprue has an archers. Yeah. So you have Byzantine horse archers, Byzantine cataphracts, and Byzantine corsairs, or however you say that. I'm sure the Europeans are frothing right now at my pronunciation, but you know, it's what it is. But you can see how they all kind of go together. Just go together. They look really good, and a little bit of creative posing. You can really break up the profile of these cavalry. But seriously, Fireforge, like, I love you guys, but don't send me bags of dudes. Like, it's very generous. That is very generous of you, but I only need a sprue. If I want more, I'll buy them from you. I don't mind buying things from you, all right? Now, I decided I would do 2 paint jobs. To do a nice, simple, basic, super basic paint job, and then a more advanced paint job, so to speak. So I'm getting all set up, but I'm gonna do a nice simple paint job where anyone can do in their sleep, any new painter can figure out, and then a more advanced paint job. So hope you guys enjoy the music, and I'm just gonna clip right through these, so I'll see you guys here in a minute. So what do I think? What's the final verdict? Well, I checked out the prices of the box, what's going to be, how many models you get. And for the price of the model and the amount of detail on these models, it's definitely a good buy. Yeah, if you're looking for a Byzantine army, this is more or less a one-stop shop kind of operation here. And I only wish they added texture to the shields and the scabbards for the bows. What's really great is that they deeply grooved the armor barding and the lalamer. So if you wanted to, you could actually very easily, like you notice on the purple and red one, those grooves, you just take your brush and just go down the groove, and it'll guide you all the way down the armor and allow, because even that gambeson or what was called back in the day, of the Hizzy Busy days, is still deeply grooved, and it allows you to very easily do like patterns, and it's really, really good to see on models. I really hate when the companies put out a textured model, but the groove is so faint you can't really drag your brush down and you get paint bleed. But as you can see, you can dress up or dress down these models very easily. It's very, very easy to do, and they're fun to paint. The faces pop. I mean, for such a simple model, the armor pops, the skirts pop, the boots pop, the faces pop, the beards pop. Everything is fun to paint. The only unfun thing I would say is that on the underside of the horse and the skirts, as it gets a bit fiddly, if I were you, I would keep the model off the platform and on like a holder of some sort, like either put a pin in one of the horseshoes or something like that. That way you can better access the underside of the horse, because with the base on there, it's a real pain in the ass to get to. But overall, yeah, really good model, really good price point, really good value. And again, Fireforge is really dialing it in. The earlier models weren't all that great, but they're really dialing it in now. The only things I don't like would be how the shields lack texture on the backside. Give it some kind of wood grain or stud or plate or something to break up the smooth. I know you're not going to see it much, but it adds more to the model overall. The horses could use a bit more like variety. Like for the horse archers, I want like a sprinting horse. A horse that's just hauling ass. And the wife said they look more like they're in a pleasure pace. So I don't know. More aggressive horse poses would be nice in the future. But overall, yeah, really good model. And again, I enjoy companies who throw their hat in the ring voluntarily and who are not afraid to send me, like, here, check out my model. I like companies that have balls, and Fireforge is one of those few companies where they got it in spades, and they will like, hey, you got a model? Why don't you look at it? And they'll send it to me without even being asked, because they know I don't fuss around. And yeah, so you have basic and advanced paint job left and right, and we'll have further thoughts now. So overall thoughts, like I said, the wife, she's a horse expert, and she said the horses, while good, could be more aggressive in how they look and how they run. Like a charge, like she said that these horses look like they're like in like a pleasant pace. She would assume that because she's raised horses, she did like horse stuff like archery and stuff. She said that a horse in combat with a horse would be going a lot faster, like it would be really leaning into the run. And she said that the horses could use a bit more aggressive posturing or positioning or modeling in general. I would say pros would be armor grooves and material grooves that allow you to really get into the model and get those cool patterns going. The studs were well pronounced. You can really get your paint tip on them and really get those little metal studs. Like we want them in copper or steel or iron or leather or whatever. You can get them kind of dotted in there real easy. Everything really translates well. Nothing really got lost. So some models are overly smooth and too blended, and things get lost. Like the Perry Foot Knights, the back belts get lost in translation. On this model, nothing gets lost in translation too much. It's all relatively there. You can understand what it is, and you really get into it pretty easily. Another pro would be the faces. The faces, when they're showing the heavily visored helmets, you only see like an eyeball, which I get. I'm not gonna fuss over that. But like the open face helmets, you can see the nose and the beard and all that. They are really well sculpted, and they still hold fine detail despite being in plastic. So really, Fireforge, really good job on the exposed faces. You knocked it out of the park doing that. Let's see. Con would be lack of weapon variety. Like most of the swords are, I don't know, they're really boring. There's no like slashing sword movements. There's no like extended sword, no handing down. It's just kind of like they're holding a sword in like a 90-degree angle. Kind of boring. At least they're there. Flaying maces, same thing. There's nothing really having them like arced up for a strike. They're all kind of like just kind of holding the weapon, which I get. But it would be better to have a bit more variety in the weapon pose, if you could. I mean, it's kind of funny because the sword scabbards of the sheath swords had more detail than the actual weapons that are exposed did, which I found kind of curious. The lances look like lances. You know, it's a big pointy stick. You can't really fault too much on that. The bows, the work you guys did with the drawing arm, having it in 2 pieces, wonderful. That way you can more dial in where that arm's supposed to be and where that arrow can be. You can have it mid-notch coming up from the quiver. You can have it in multiple poses, and it's not locked in one place. Really, really good job on implementing a 2-part arm. Another really good pro on that one. But overall, very little cons, mostly pros for the model. And again, Fireforge, thank you for sending me these and having the nuts to send me your models to get reviewed, because you know I don't split hairs. If something's fucked up, I'm pointing that out to you. And like I said, the only thing that I really went meh on were the shields lacking texture, the bow scabbards lacking texture, and a few of the weapons just being boring in nature, like the swords or the flame maces. Just more poses, just a little more aggressive poses for the horses and the weapons would knock this one out of the park. But in my opinion, this might be one of the better Cataphract and Byzantine horse armor. I mean, I think Victrix has one. I think Perry did have one, but in terms of plastic, I think this is the better choice. Really, you got your scale better as well. The old sergeants were kind of wonky in scale. They're a bit short and hobbitish. These ones seem more like properly scaled humans, so again, well done on that. Overall, Fireforge, I give you an A-. Overall, solid. But the minus is only because of the lack of textures on some things that are going to be really exposed. Like the bow scabbards, most of all, those are going to be exposed. They're going to be somewhere in the body, and it's just smooth. It could have done like some bands or some leather on there, something to help break up that flat plane. But overall, I enjoyed painting them. You can. I mean, these things can dress up and down easily. You can have it be plain Jane like the Cataphract, or all fancy and stuff like the horse archer. You can go up and down, not a problem. But yeah, A-. Good job, Fireforge. You're really dialing it in, and I can't wait until more of your fantasy stuff. I've seen your dwarves, and the dwarves have my interest piqued by a high amount, and I'm curious to see just what you're gonna do with those. But anyway. That's the end of the video. If you liked it, like the video, subscribe for more videos, more stories, more reviews, more Twitch streams. They're all coming out here in a bit. Don't worry about it. I'll get with it. And yeah, so until I see you next time on this side of the veil, this has been Guard Bro, and this has been Guard Beardia.